The Long Way Home, Chapter 9. Deep breath. Vincent very carefully did not say anything, or look at the George boy while he repeated Our Father until his hands quit shaking. The light slowly brightened. The air became cool and comfortable once more. Gravity returned while the boy prayed. Then he waited. When the kid was not forthcoming, he prompted, "Want to talk?" "No, mister." "Fair enough. Go get something to eat. Get some rest. We can have another all hands to shake out the schedule for cockpit watchers." "You're talking like a captain now, mister," the George boy said with a growing grin. Vincent gave him a good scowl. The boy just grinned wider, and he unbuckled himself. "Aye, mister. Sounds like a plan to me. I think this jump should have lasted about a day, but you can never know." "From drift," Vincent agreed. "Now go. Food, rest. Do the thing where you make feathers less grumpy." "Aye, mister," the boy said, with the widest grin yet. "Good talk, mister." Vincent glared at his back as he left, and didn't let the grin show on his face until he was gone. "Good news, everyone," Jason crowed as he entered the galley. "We didn't die." "Cool, cool," Stowaway sarcastically said. "I was having trouble figuring that out on my own." "You skipped eating lunch," Vi quietly noted as she helped Stowaway with his safety straps. "I was worried about Mr. Vincent needing to pilot like a crazy person again," Jason lied. "Better to not have anything to throw up." Stowaway narrowed his eyes at Jason, but didn't challenge him. Instead he said, "Do you know how long we'll be in hyperspace this time?" "Probably around a day," he answered. "Probably," Vi asked nervously. "Translated from drift," Jason explained. "I could use some of that lunch, if there's any left over." "Sure," she said. "Just give me a minute." Jason ambled over to the dinette and slid in, saying, "Yes, ma'am, Miss Quartermaster, ma'am." "Shush," she chided. The Stowaway leapt from his seat to stretch. "Good news, everybody," Chandray called as she climbed out from the engine room. "We didn't blow up." "Open skies," Stowaway groaned towards the ceiling. "What's his deal?" Chandray asked Jason. "I used that joke already," he explained with no effort to conceal his supremely smug grin. But she shot at him with mock outrage. Jason clutched at his heart as Vi slid a plate of sliced foraged rind fruit and a cured sausage sandwich in front of him, while he proclaimed, "Hark! Such vile insult flung wanton upon mine tender heart! Woe! For I have taken a wounding most grievous." "Who let him read Shakespeare again?" Chandray asked, her false outrage cracking a little. "Hearken not to the foul lies of this," Jason began, but faltered when no Shakespearean insult came to mind. So he continued, "Personage, hearken not, and so on and so forth." "Head up, you dork," Vi said, as she laid her ears back at him sternly. "Aye, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Quartermaster, ma'am." "How do I get him to stop that?" she asked Chandray. "Oh," Chandray answered, "that's easy. Quit calling him sir." "But it's funny to call him sir," Vi muttered petulantly. "Turn and turn about, fair madam," Jason told her as he took a bite. "Good sandwich," he mumbled through a full mouth. "You and Uncle Maxie and your Shakespeare," Chandray said, as she slid into the dinette beside him and pilfered his slice of fruit. Vi's eyes nearly popped out of her head as she said, "Maxwell the Loyal is your dad?" "Here we go," Jason sighed and said. "What makes my dad special is that he's my dad. All of that other stuff is, well, it's not important to him or us." "What's that like?" Stowaway asked softly from where he stood by the sofa with slumped shoulders and carefully guarded eyes. "What's what like?" Jason asked, bemused. Having a dad?" "You don't Chandray began before Jason laid a restraining hand on her forearm. "I don't figure I can answer that in a couple words," Jason began slowly. "It's tough to imagine what life would be like without him. My dad he's someone who knows what it's like to be a kid like me. Since he grew up at George, too. He's done a lot of things. Knows a lot of things. Told me some of them. I can call him up and talk even when he's deployed, unless he's on some combat drop or an important meeting or something. And he always knows what to say. He's strong, and he makes me want to be strong like him, and maybe do someone else what he does for me. Sorry if that isn't a very good answer, but I never really thought about it before, Stowaway." "Sounds nice," Stowaway said. "I'm going to go see if Mr. Vincent wants a little company." "Okay," Jason quietly agreed. "I'll try to come up with a better answer later." "It was good enough," Stowaway said as he turned to the bridge. Chandray told him as the Ferris negotiation, "I think I have that tablet powered. Probably its iconography is weird, but I think it's charging. I'm not sure how to just turn it on, though." "Good news," he told her in the same language. "Any luck on making an adapter to its port? Our stuff usually charges from the data port." "Not yet," she whispered. "Don't tell them yet. It might not work." The cockpit had been pleasantly quiet and unnervingly empty since the George boy had left. Vincent had had a lot to think over, after all. They gotten a lot of data from their furtive foray, but not much information, or if there was any information, they didn't have access to it yet. He was just considering trying to find a nice uninhabited planet to camp out on, while the long way tried to make something useful out of it all, when the Corvian boy barged in. "Need something, kid?" Vincent asked absently. The kid plopped himself into the co-pilot seat and muttered, "Not really." "Whatever you say, kid." Vincent had nearly an hour to enjoy the quiet, marred by the Corvian boy's obvious restlessness until he blurted out, "You're not going to ask, old man?" "First of all, I did. Second, I'm not old." Stowaway stared sidelong in silence at him. "What? I'm not." Stowaway continued to stare. 48 isn't old," Vincent grumbled. Stowaway's beak fell open. "Don't say it." "I didn't say nothing." "Yeah, but you were thinking it," Vincent muttered before he caught himself. "Kids these days." "Why do you have Jason co-pilot when it scares him so bad?" Vincent was a little surprised that the Corvian boy had noticed that about the George boy, but he tried to answer anyway. "Because I need his help. He can do it, and he's willing. Things would be a bit different if it was by myself, but have you guys to keep safe." "You could have left us on the pirate ship and on the planet." "No, I couldn't." "Why not?" the Corvian boy asked, and Vincent began to wonder what he was really after with these questions. He was slow and careful to answer. "Because it wouldn't be right." "How do you know what's right?" "Look, kid, I'm not a very smart man." "That's okay. I'm not a very smart kid." Vincent suppressed a flinch and started again. "What I mean to say is I'm not good at talking about this kind of thing. I've been on my own for a while." "Me too," the boy rejoined. Vincent tapped aimlessly at one of the sensor readouts for a long few seconds before he said, "I guess it boils down to do unto others as ye would have done unto ye." "Huh? Do things to others that you would want others to do to you." More silence was filled by the steady hum of the long-ways systems until Stowaway asked, "Would you want someone to make you do something that scary?" "Yes, and maybe not. Jason stepped up to do something you and I needed despite his fear. That takes guts. Courage. If I was that brave and some jerk slapped me down." "Oh," Stowaway said, and Vincent clocked what he was thinking. How do you get brave?" "Practice."
"Oh, how can I learn the co-piloting stuff?"
"Easy. You just ask."
"Ask who?"
Vincent just looked at the kid for a little while.
"Oh, duh. Well, will you teach me?"
"Sure," Vincent grunted. "Well, let's get this straight. None of this old man or sirs or even Mr. Bullshit out of you. It's bad enough that the Happy Squad keep it up with the Mr.
"What do I call you then?"
Just Vincent." Vincent spent the remainder of the shift introducing Stowaway to the controls in the cockpit and how to reach them all despite his awkward wings with their grasping claws. One nap later, and Jason was feeling chipper and considerably less strain. That, and he was more than a little hungry thanks to Trandre's and Vi's cooking sense wafting over him where he had been sleeping on the sofa. All in all, it wasn't the worst alarm bell in the world, but he privately wished for a few more minutes of sleep. However, his stomach disagreed with his wishes, so up he got. "Smells good, girls," he cheerfully said. "It's almost dinner time. That means Mr. Vincent's shift's about to end."
"Where's Stowaway?" "On the bridge with Mr. Vincent, Chief."
"Huh," Jason said. He decided to roll with Vi calling him Chief. It was better than Sir. "You going on shift after dinner?" Trandre asked. "Meeting first."
"Is that okay?"
"We're in the safest part of the journey, Vi, and it's just a short jump. Strictly speaking, it's against regs, but we need to shake some things out," Jason explained. "Besides, the meeting shouldn't take all that long. If the bridge wasn't so cramped, we would have had our meeting there."
"I made them a promise," Trandre said as she stirred some vegetables in a skillet.
"Need any help in there?" Jason asked mildly.
"No, we're good. You can help with the washing up, though,"
Trandre told him. "Aye, will do," he replied as he settled into the dinette against the wall to wait. He didn't have to wait long for Vincent and Stowaway to slide in across from him, and for his dinner to be dished up for him. Captured frozen vegetables with roasted Xenos game. "We had honey?" he asked after taking a bite of a slice.
"Thanks," Trandre said. "Vi helped."
"I just figured you two worked as a team in the kitchen at this point."
"Aye, that's right," Trandre muttered. "But she's better at cooking than me."
"Shut up," Vi nearly whined, as she gently shoved into Trandre. "All right," Vincent mumbled. "A couple of things. First, looks like we're riding a current rimwood by spinewood that's going to take us a bit further than the closest star. Good news, it's still looking like we will hit gravity well in 20 hours. And the gravity shadow of the system suggests..." He trailed off when he noticed half of his audience staring at him with glazed-over eyes. "Well, there's probably a planet there. If there's there, we'll set down and camp out for a while. If not, we go on."
"Bad news?" Trandre said quietly.
"Not exactly. The Chief and I can't handle 4 and 4 for very long," Vincent explained, and Jason rolled his eyes so ostensibly that there was no way that the old man could miss it. "Shush, kid."
"I didn't say anything," Jason pointed out.
"You were thinking something snarky," Vincent retorted.
"Witty. There's a difference," Jason said with a grin.
Vincent frowned at him. Point is, Vincent sighed with mingled exasperation and sternness, we can't take on a watch between the two of us. Tran can already do a little, but she wants some time at the yoke on Sims, and Stowaway just started learning too. That means that we do 4 on, 8 off, 4 on, with overlap with 3 people, and with a 4th. It'll take the strain off travel, hence the camp out. Thank you, Stowaway. I really appreciate that, Jason said earnestly. Stowaway looked at the ceiling and muttered, Shut up. Jason started thinking that he had a better nickname for Stowaway. He decided to wait on laying it on him, however. He figured that he'd had a tough enough day. The dinner dragged on, even after the George boy left to man his shift in the cockpit. The Corvine boy didn't have much to say anymore, and Trendre felt quiet without her cousin to lean on. Vi, on the other hand, had things to say. What kind of planet is it, Mr. Vincent? She asked. Can't really tell much from in hyperspace, he told her. Just that there's a rocky planet there. Oh. Do you want to join us for our movie night? Maybe later. Sleep for me. Oh. Do you like your dinner? Vincent felt an unfamiliar strain of a warm grin as he said, Yes, sweetie. It was very good. Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Vincent tapped his fork on the rim of his plate and asked, You okay? Oh, I guess so. I miss my family and I'm worried about getting back, but you're nice and I like the long way. Vincent grunted. Me? Nice. Yes, Mr. Vincent, you. It had been a long day. It was going to be a long day. The George kid was on watch, and his cousin was going to take the next one. A part of himself, he'd thought he had been long dead, had revived. That resurrection had brought many things to the surface. When he returned to his room, he eyed his supplies. Memories needed quieting. End of chapter. I'd quickly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholt, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.